diving into the specific gates, the 8 water trigram gates that we're already into right now. We're in the quarter of duality. And so we're going to be diving into each of these specific gates through the lens of the I Ching and the trigrams. And you can see this is actually, I have the little graphic going, and these are repeating of the 8 water trigrams. So you can see these bottom 3 lines here are the same. It's the yin, yang, yin, and then the top ones are changing. So here are your changing lines.
Look at the changing lines, peeps. That's something to just let that blow across your eyeballs for a moment.
Yeah, it's just like that. That's the I Ching, in which we are referencing with human design. So there are your changing lines.
And that's our genome. That's going on in your body right now, sped up by a whole bunch. I mean, think about it. That's what's going on right now, right inside under your skin. Water trigrams. And the thing that stays the same is the bottom 3 lines.
The bottom 3.
Awesome.
Yeah, the top 3 are changing through, but the bottom 3 stay the same. So thank you everyone for hanging out with us. I know this is a weird and esoteric series, but it's just kind of fun to dive into because it's part of human design, and I wasn't going to be learning about it any other way if I didn't make an episode about it. So, thanks for hanging out.
I think it's perfect.
Oh, thank you, Danny. So starting off, we have water as the trigram. So all the trigrams of the 8 trigrams have like a family position. So water is the middle sun. And so if you look at the bottom here on the graphic, it's a yin, yang, yin. When you're looking for the family aspect of the trigram, you're looking for like the outlier. So you have 2 yin and a yang. So it's a yang. So that's going to be a sun, and it's in the middle line. So it's literally the middle sun. So that's where you can kind of, mnemonic device, remember these trigrams and their positioning. It's about deep water. It's flowing and formless, and it's unconscious to fire's sharp lucidity. Water is fluid, intuitive, and it's about emotional way of perceiving. It's about danger, exposure, solitude, and the need to respond with courageous self-reliance when confronted with the haunting unknown.
They just said a whole bunch of words that keynote the gates we're going to talk about.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah, especially unconscious to fire sharp lucidity. So it is unconscious. It's holding deep waters. Again, it's holding all of this information. I like it. You need to respond with courageous self-reliance when confronting haunted unknown, fluid, intuitive. It's emotional. We're in an emotional process. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's like water it's deep emotions, and it's scary. Like you see some like dark, murky water, it's scary. It is dangerous. There's a lot of potential there, but there's a lot of fear and exposure and the solitude of like, lost in the ocean kind of thing. It's something that's bigger than you.
Right, like the water of mother's womb. That's a deep sea dive for the baby in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, water is the foundation of the gates that we're in right now, just in life, and the gates that we're going to go through. So there you go.
Awesome.
We have gate 7, which is the army, and the role of the self in interaction. And the trigrams are earth over water. The stream within the earth flows strongly because the earth accepts and absorbs all the water that falls on it, gathering an army with the same open acceptance, tending to its growth. Finding strength in the flow of the whole self by recruiting all the different character traits and hidden underground emotions.
Yeah, so gate 7, the role of the protector of the water, the protector in a sense, but it's not just the muscle-bound protector, it's the gathering protector. It's this protector that has a sense of logic and understanding that this is going to fit in. It's a particular puzzle piece. It's going to logically fit into something. We need it. And that sense and that externalization of this 4th line of doing that is perfectly suited for gathering all the opinions of the other people that are around and gaining some kind of consensus. That's why the 4th line of gate 7 is called abdication. It's the capacity to give and take quite more easily. I'm a 4th line. I know all about it. It's a great process for me. I get it. And so the gathering of the army, this openness, that is a tendency towards growth, because growth is usually logical unless it's just for growth's sake, but this water is holding intelligence, that the keeper of it is ultimately holding the role of these 4 gates. and the army is one of them, part of the Sphinx. So part of the role of the protection of gate 7 for all of the measurements and the information and the library of it all, part of his protection is making sure logically this thing is charting a path that will sustain into the future. This is the army, the protector that sustains it into the future, just like the mama bear helps sustain the cubs into the future. We'll get into that for hexagrams from now. Right now, Papa Bear is just extending and protecting the terrain such that there can be something to move forward into. So these are archetypal roles that fit right into the archetypes of yin yang and male female that we know of today. The role of the self in interaction. This becomes skilled interaction. Right? You can't just punch the other guy in the nose. Now we've interacted. Do as I tell you. I mean, you can.
It's just probably not going to work out very well for.
Just that they don't tend to work out as well unless you end up being so righteous that the other guy says, "I guess I see why you had to punch me in the nose." That can happen, and that might even happen here. But that you need consensus of some sort. The army must be willing. This is volunteer work here. And the heart, what's stronger than the heart of a volunteer? I don't know much. In fact, the word volunteer sounds like a calling.
Yeah, and you have to be nice to your volunteers. Like I've been in many situations where it's like, I'm volunteering. Why am I being yelled at? Like, I want to help you build something cool. Why are you being a jerk? And then people are going to leave, especially if you're volunteering, you're not being paid for something. It's like, no, you better treat your volunteers very, very well. And 7 is about that direction that's ultimately going to go towards influence. So in order to influence people, like you got to give them something to rally behind. You got to treat them well.
Pointing straight at influence and the manifestation thereof, proving that there's a direction right around the corner that's gonna move because it's in the throat center. So gate 7, the protector of it all. This is very enlightening, Moni.
Well,
you were
thanks.
right. I was low energy before the show, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were real wonky.
Yeah.
I'm glad we've given you something to respond to and you have a little bit of life in you now. We have gate 4, which is youthful folly and formulization. The trigrams are mountain over water. Pure spring rises under the shelter of the mountain. It doesn't know where it's going, yet its flow becomes steadily deeper and stronger. In the same way, nurture personal character and strength with the fruits of going forward and taking action. Learning comes from experience, not in the form of ready-made answers.
Yeah, the cool thing about this is, so we've got a mountain over, so we're going to have all the things over water, earth, mountain, blah, blah, blah. There's going to be lots of things over water here. This gate 4, this youthful folly, that is sort of immune from prosecution. It's not quite approachable as in having done anything wrong. It's youthful and it's constantly formalizing. Its job is to come up with identify logical formulas. Just identify them. Is that a logical formula? And then throw it down to gate 17 to foster all the details and the opinions that will give that formula life. It's a whole process, pressured by gate 63 of a doubt that gives a logical capacity to it in the first place. And this whole nurturing part, nurturing of what we just left with gate 7, the army says we move forward. I'm the protector of this. And right afterwards, the pressure got received into gate 4 to do exactly what I just said, come up with the logical formula that's going to preserve the protection of this. All that's left is to get to gate 17 and 62, which don't even need to be here next. It's going to be in the world. So these two things sort of bookend each other, 7 and 4, in a sense, as it creates direction moving forward. So again, the protector of the information now has something he can go tell his sweetie, yeah, no, I figured it out. We know what we're doing, essentially. This is the I think we know what we're doing part. 7 is the we're about to go do. I have a consensus. And 4 is I know what we're doing. I mean, I can see what we're doing. It's logical. And I'll share that with you so you can see it too. That's Youthful Folly. What's the headline above it, Youthful Folly, in the book? It's something about you can be a weirdo, you can even fall apart and you're beyond reproach and no one's going to call you out for it. It's not this gate doesn't, you don't have to worry about being called out because you start out a little goofy in your youthful folly.
So the line for it is the energy to beguile and succeed despite ignorance, freedom from retribution.
Retribution. That's what it was. Yeah. I kept saying prosecution, but close enough. So yeah. Yep. To beguile. To beguile. This is a great partner for 7 to do all that water work with. In the memory, in the knowledge, containing the right and the wrong. That's half of the knowledge that's held. After all, it's not just the knowledge of how to build a building or whatever, 2 atoms crushed together. It's right and wrong. The army is about the formulas that create a path towards right and wrong, towards more. When we know right and wrong, it's easier to have more beauty. This is a guardrail for our pursuit of the beauty and the harmony and the communion with the other, with with a protected tribe through all of that. So
Yeah, it's interesting also, and just like trying to vibe into the water trigram and the mountain trigram, because water is that like unconscious, it's the unknown, you don't know what's going to happen, and then mountain is about like stillness and reflection. And so it's interesting, that combination to be youthful folly, where it's like, and the people I know with gate 4, especially when it's like in their sun, it just, they always have a possibility. Maybe it's this, maybe it's this, I don't know, maybe it's this, and they're just
they're gonna
throwing
find
out.
out.
Yeah, and it's just crazy possibilities, and some of them are brilliant, and some of them are like, I don't know where to go with that. But again, yeah, it's like there's freedom from retribution with gate 4, because they're just popping out what could be. It could be this formula, it could be this one, and possibly this one, possibly this one, I don't know, let's see. But they're just kind of throwing it out there to see what sticks in a way.
The energy to beguile. I love that. What's it beguiling? When you think about it, to beguile is a shared thing because you beguile something else or someone else.
Yeah, the energy to beguile and succeed despite ignorance, where it's like they don't know what the hell they're talking about necessarily, but
Not
they
yet.
can, yeah, not yet, but they can throw out these possibilities that you're like, I don't know, I guess it could be that. So I guess it would be a sense of beguiling when they throw out a possibility. You're like, I don't know if that's an answer or not, but like you kind of stumped me there. It might be. Like that's what I kind of feel with it.
Yep. And at times they could also beguile parts and fringes and aspects of the social norms that may need to change. They could beguile the stick in the mud that doesn't move with the army, regardless of how logical the formula starts to take shape. You can beguile that guy. He needs to be beguiled. Good enough.
We have gate 29, which is the abysmal and the gate of perseverance. And this is water over water. So this is like super water. Many small tributaries flow together to create a broad river. Many small commitments flow together to create a powerful character. Just one extraordinary leap of faith is not enough. By acting consistently, create continuity of principles that people can depend on when all else is in flux. Repetition is a way of conveying a message to others, also convincing and changing yourself as you learn more skillful ways of thinking. Like the water, it carves out a course and creates its own momentum.
It's so good because all the water's coming together, creating the abyss for the abysmal. The abyss is not to be seen as a bad thing. It's just a deep pool. And we call that mother where I come from. I mean, that's what I'm referring to. And that deep pool, this creative continuity of principles, well, that's tribal language. And it's also logical language. It's all mixed up with itself, which it's supposed to be. Gate 29 is not in the logical circuitry. However, its commitments are not in the logical circuitry, but the abstract nature of let's get into this thing. And that's why it says many commitments put together, not just one great big one. It's not one great big beautiful bill. It's many bills put together to make something just right, And so, yeah, that's funny. This is, I committed to this. Oh, I said yes to this. The perseverance, and then suddenly it creates, just like all the choppy little waves in the ocean, sooner or later create the big wave. What do they call that? The rogue waves. You know what I mean? Out in around the Horn of Africa, where it happens an awful lot. Ships will be like, and the people on land will be like, that doesn't happen. They won't believe until finally people start capturing it on film and on radar, and they're like, oh, I guess it does. Many things chopping together. Every once in a while, it comes into a confluence and it raises up into a 40 or 80-foot wave. And that's what's happening here with all these perseverances. And if you notice in this abysmal where it's down low, it's preparing itself to physically do what's going to happen in the next 4 trigrams, which is steward that. This is still the protection of. There's a locker down here with an important combination, and the protector from Gate 7's army has the key and the combo to it, and you ain't getting it. And it's you're not getting it. And there's not going to be any bank heist here while this guy's on, on the scene, holding the importance of the information. And it's the character and the abysmal and the abyss of the commitment in the first place that shows the character. The commitment gives the character of 7 its face in a way. And what else does it do? Fourth line, it externalizes this commitment. Once again, the glue, it just keeps pouring the words into the theater, into the arena, such that ultimately we see why we persevere. Yes, Father, I see why finally on year 39, why I've persevered in this desert onto year 40. It will all be worth it in the end, or something like that. After 39, after 38 days, what was it, 40 days and 40 nights or something like that? Where am I going to land? Sort of like Water World. That must have been intense. And
like yeah, even this
on
idea. Go ahead.
well, 38 and 30 on days 38 and 39, there was perseverance there, right?
Like, we just got to get through it. That's like sense of like water over water when you're in the deep of the deep. It's like, I don't know, you jumped off of something and you're just like stuck in some water and you're like, well, I guess I'm just in it and I have to persevere, because it's persevere or die, persevere or drown. Like, I just have to deal with this abyss, this depth of the unknown, and just make it through, because that's what you got to do. Because what other choice do you have besides drowning, which that's not fun.
And it's our capacity to do that. So everywhere in the quarter, the sacral will always add its distinctiveness, its perseverance, its sustainment, and its power to do so as a response, meaning in the now. It's always available in the now. And this is clearly the first entrance of this in this quarter, right? Gate 29. They're all powerful. There's no most powerful. Even 34 isn't the most powerful in a sense. They're all wicked powerful, It's like a favorite donut. They're all my favorite donut, like, so whatever. They're all great. So that's what this abysmal is allowing. It's allowing this protector to have logically gathered the forces, including the force of himself, to measure and create the measurements and create the protection of this measurements as it moves on into the next 4 gates, which again will take all of that stuff and turn it really into the right bond. This is bonding, and the next 4 hexagrams will be the right bond of bonding. I don't know if that's true, but I think that's what we're going to find out.
Yeah, so these 4 gates that we just went through were still under like Thoth as the godhead. So it was the yin externalization of water. So here we have gate 59, which is dispersion and the gate of sexuality. This is wind over water for our trigrams. Wind moving above the stream stirs and disperses it as water vapor, reminiscent of the fragrant steam that rises from the offerings and nourishes the spirit. This is the real substance of things, inner flow of committed offering, message and influence spreading outward. What is established with offerings will endure. What is built on rock crumbles away. What are you building on?
Yeah, the windswept water, I think we dealt with a little bit the other day. The wind carries the information. It's about dispersion. And the wind moving across, it stirs and disperses all the things that are part of the water. In fact, the wind carries the clouds and creates the rain, or it's part of the rain process.
Wind is subtle yet far-reaching influence. It's like you don't notice it until you're like, there's a hurricane, right?
Right.
But it can also spread the seeds and like plant trees, miles away and stuff like that.
Right. Wind and water, they go together in this particular hexagram, in this particular way, at this particular point, because Thoth is now creates the dispersion zone. What he ends up handing off, the way of these 4 hexagrams starts with the protector and basically the understander of the knowledge, right? And then the way of this 4 hexagrams at the end, the way of it becomes the dispersion of that. Send it out everywhere, essentially. And where does he send it out everywhere through? He doesn't send it out everywhere. The next 4 hexagrams do. And they also send it out and pull it back, right? There's your yin and your yang, your negative and your positive. Out it goes, back it comes, and there is.
It's like the tide.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like the tide. And there in that tide, there is dispersion. And that dispersion is primarily the sexuality of it all, because bonding creates babies. I mean, just period. That's what, and we're supposed to do that essentially. So 59 becomes the dispersion and the capacity through our sexuality to go ahead and understand that that bond is going to be there. And what happens after you have sex, 2 seconds later, the girl is telling you there's meaning here. If you want to talk about archetypes, and the dumb guy is like getting clobbered over the head, coming to realize there's meaning here. We don't have to go through that process with these two. The Godhead number one totally got it. He was prepping for the meaning. This Godhead represents the program. We're the ones that get confused about the program and act like ding dongs, but the Godhead has it right. He's got all 7 hexagrams pristine. He is that thing, and he's handing off through the archetypal act of how we've been handing off through all of time, through a sexual encounter. And this sexual encounter isn't just like two ships passing in the night. This is bonding. It's tribal. It's got gate 59, tribal. It's got a definition in here. 59 and 6 are what's coming up in this 8 hexagrams. So we end up with 2 full definitions. We're thinking about it, putting it all together, making sense of it, and then we're bonding. This part of this quarter, these 8 hexagrams, first half of this quarter, has a very particular way, and it's mental and it's logical, and it's bonded, and it's in my mind, it's ruled by mother.
Yeah, and you kind of got me going where it's just like sex is far more important than what we've started to treat it as a society. It's become this very meaningless, not special hookup culture kind of thing where it's like every act of sex is an act of life or death. Like there's potential life, there's potential death. Like you can create life, the woman can die. Like this is like such a serious thing that we've really just thrown out the window. And I think we're starting to realize again that you can't just have meaningless sex and have things be okay. It always seems like a fun idea until it gets really, really weird and feelings are hurt and like bad things could happen. And I like this like end line where it's what is established with offerings will endure. What is built on rock crumbles away. What are you building on? Like the who you choose to be intimate with really will have huge impact on our lives, like who you choose to be sexual with and create life with. And even if you don't, like how many hurt feelings are, oh, we were having fun and then it got weird and then you don't talk to that person anymore. So there's so much more seriousness than what we treat it as.
Right. And we miss the whole point of this way, of this part of the quarter and these parts of the quarter, of moving between conflict and tension and harmony and peace and bonding, successful bonding. We're learning that here. So just trust the forces in the program. This is wicked important to us. I strongly suggest anyone who's trying to say it's not, stop pretending. It is important to us. It's okay that it's important to us. Let it be so. It enriches us in so many ways. So yeah, the sexuality from gate 59 is simply the sustaining act that is a constant invitation to bond, and bond as yourself. 59 sustains and generates that wave of that need. And thank God it's gate 59 in the sacral and not something else. Imagine if it were the quiet voice of the spleen, right? We know it's safe. We know it's good. We get it. That's wicked intelligent, but I keep not hearing it. Right?
Glad it's powered by the oomph of the sacral.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, that was God's design. I firmly believe God made all this stuff exactly like this so we could have this conversation finally. So he could experience us getting it like he gets it.
Yeah, I mean, there's too much of a program for it to be an accident. Like, no one accidentally creates something so intricate. It's not like, whoops, I made this really intricate clock. Like, no one just stumbles into that. Like, that has to take so much effort and so much planning and so much, like, divine creation that if there's a program, there's a programmer. If there's a creation, there's a creator. It just stands to reason.
That's funny about the clock. Yeah, a pile of metal didn't turn into gears and fall on itself with pins and cotter pins.
And insane accuracy.
Yeah, exactly. With insane accuracy and turn into clocks. Yeah, right. It's just, oops, I tripped and it became it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, so I would imagine there's a lot of
Fun.
planning into this program that we're in, and there's a purpose for us to go through it in the way we do, which is why it's fun
Mm.
to go through the body graph in this way, where it's like it is like this divine clock system.
Mm.
Now we've shifted into the Godhead of Harmonia, where we can see this fourth line here is the solid yang, where it had
The
been
boss
yin.
has arrived.
With gate 40, which is deliverance, and the gate of aloneness, the trigrams are thunder over water. Imagine air after a thunderstorm, clean, clear, tensions released. Humans do the work of thunder and rain through forgiveness. Action can spring forth from fluidity rather than a rigid stance. Forgiveness frees us from the bonds of inevitability. A line crossed need not mean there be retribution. Punishment doesn't have to follow from crime. Rare, we're truly forced to respond or obliged to make up for our own past mistakes or omissions.
Yeah, the thunder over the water does clear it out. And the thing is, so there's a thunderstorm and there's all this stuff. And if you'll notice, every time there's a thunderstorm or something, usually there is a moment where it stops and starts to clear everything out, which becomes the keynote of this gate of deliverance. Deliverance is delivering us from one condition into another. And generally, it's into rest or some kind of contemplative aloneness that is not the turbulence of the thunder. That's basically what that is. And it's tribal. And it's the voice of aloneness that can be a nihilist, that can absolutely go mute, say nothing, that can tell 37 on the other side, which is emotional, no or yes. It's waiting for it. And it's waiting for its proper language. It's a sophisticated language. We just left dispersion. Sexuality all by itself might not be very sophisticated in its language because we don't know. You're just two people are hot for each other. That could be all the sophistication that's needed, but not here. Here it's saying even gate 37, which it doesn't have, is still presumed to have needed to deliver its affection. This is about the receipt of affection as well as the capacity of the ego to stand up, beat the drum, and do some work and make sure everyone else is doing some too. You know what I mean? And be the example of that such that you can't not do something or you'll stand out. The tribe's very good about not having to say much because you just don't want to stand out that way. Right and wrong. Again, we just got through with some right and wrong going on. Wicked important. The keeper of right and wrong delivered. And in the deliverance, Gate 40 says it's time to get to work. So that's what Harmonia is saying. She's like, I'm Harmonia. I see that Moni picked a really cute Disney-like picture for me. Don't I look adorable? Let's get to work. Get to work. Get to work. Is what this is partly what this is saying, and get to work with a sense of right and wrong. It's and the right and wrong and the work once delivered gives the payoff, the affection of gate 37, which affection isn't just simple affection. Ah, there, thanks so much. It's the affection that imbues trust in a relationship that makes for the feelings of safety. God, that's a big one. You know what I mean? Talk about being able to think straight when you feel safe versus when you don't. It brings all of these aspects into everything that would go along with affection. Supportiveness, you know what? I'm in a supportive place. I can't stand out as being the only non-supportive one. All these activities that we will conduct around gate 40, especially coming off of the last four gates, with all of the knowledge and the delivering of it, we accept the delivery. And from that deliverance, our point of transition is we see it now, and we now transition through. And we transition through into Harmonia, who's going to make us all get to work, bonding and tribing out and following some rules and coming up with the principles, which we went through on the other side not too long ago, and all kinds of things of this nature.
Yeah, and I really like that like harmony and discord aspect of Harmonia because again, Harmonia, it sounds really nice. Like she's just about harmony. She's really cool. Like that's what it kind of comes off as. But it's like no, it's that balance. It's both. She's the like the source and creation of that harmony and the discord. That balance of like even like that 40-37. It's like I've worked a bunch, now I need to rest, or you haven't worked enough, or you have to work enough to have the place in the tribe to like earn your meal. There is
Right.
that tension right there.
Right, right. There sure is. There sure is. It's almost as if you could have given Harmonia two faces. The face, one facing one way a little bit, the face that's right there, and then another one with a little more, not mean, but like a little more
More stern.
stern look, like the school mom is like, come on, kids, step lively. It's time. We all could be very two-faced. It's in not a bad way. I'm just saying we all
It's just
have our
like I
Harmonia.
think it's part of the human condition.
It sure is. It sure is.
We have gate 64, which is before completion, and the gate of confusion. The trigrams are fire over water. Fire and water, right elements to cook with, but in the wrong places relative to one another. The next task is to find better places so they can work together coherently. A careful, respectful awareness of the undercurrents, like the acute eyes and ears of the fox, attuned to the river's flow beneath the ice. How different elements and processes in a complex situation flow together and find ways for people to relate more harmoniously. There we have that word again.
Yeah, and it's complicated. It's complex. There's a lot goes on. 64 is the pressure to mire through 1 trillion different possible film clips of data to see which ones will go together with which ones to make sense of it. Underwater, like it mentioned, the water itself contains the abyss. We can't see down there. So 64 is confusing. What's this one? What's that one? What's this one? But you're going to find we're about to make sense of it in the next hexagram because this is a definition here in this part of the wheel, which I find very attractive. I'm very glad it's here because we got to go through that. It creates meaning. This is part of meaning making. And in a relationship, the guy just wants to have it fixed, and the girl pressures her to make it right and this particular way in this particular color, maybe, and in
Make
this
it nice.
make it nice, right? I mean, as an archetype, that could go either way, by the way. But I'm a guy and Moni's a girl, so I'm going to speak in the archetypes of the archetypes. And so,
I mean, it's literally conversations I have with my boyfriend. If you're going to do it nice. Make it nice.
right,
Don't
and
bother if you're
sometimes
not going to do
he's
it.
like, no, no, 2 nails hold it just fine. There shall be contemplation. There shall be contemplation. Before contemplation doesn't mean no contemplation. It means we're about to be contemplating a whole ton, and 64 is a big fat part of that. Is the thing, and it pressures it because it's from the head center, the pressure to translate our existence. It's not just trying to contemplate the practical one little thing. This fits into what's up with our whole existence. And this is part of the yin question coming from the yin character being put out into the world in a yang way. It's again, it's a really good mixing up here of how things should, can very well go together. Ultimately, we got to go through this process to make sense of where's the beauty going to be. We got it with the right and wrong part. That was 4 hexagrams ago in that section of this order, of these 8 hexagrams. We got that. And it's very brilliantly done. And it was protected and it was put together. And there's a lot there. And it's logical. It's going to move us forward. Let's contemplate what is the meaning of this. There was no head gate in the last 4 quarters. There was a logic gate, but now there is a head gate, a pressure to translate existence. So we will have meaning. And now what is that meaning going to be characterized by, and what's it going to be held with? The starter, the initiator, the gate 7, the army that put together the capacity to move in a direction towards more beauty ends up moving towards this more beauty of coming to the realization of what's it all for? What's it all for? Again, purpose. It didn't say fun fulfilled through, mind, purpose fulfilled through. It doesn't say fun, whatever, a good time fulfilled through bonding. No, it says, purpose fulfilled through bonding. Each one of these is purpose, purpose, purpose. And you get back up to that head center and you find that head center is one of the keenest drivers of the purpose, because its question is, what's up? What is the deal? translating existence is a lot of work. Let me pressure the translation of existence. So you think about it, there's a lot of ajna action going on here, lots of it. With gate 4 and 47 is what's coming up, and this is the stuff that is going to get spoken out soon enough, but it's 64 simply says, we're going to contemplate the crap out of this, and confusion will give way. It will give way to more beauty, and it tells the guy, stay put. Don't go anywhere. This is part of an emotional process. This is all connected to the emotional awareness. 64 all the way down to gate 56 is very much seen as part of that, because that whole abstract circuitry goes right down the human experiential emotional wave process. So I'm pretty good with what this is doing here. This is no quick actions. Let's stop and think about it for a minute. It almost demands, in fact, you'll see the next gate is about clarity, the keynote of the emotional process.
I really enjoy, as you're saying, like confusion and before completion, and then looking here at the hexagram, it's like yin yang, yin yang, yin yang. It almost looks like a deck of cards being shuffled. Like there's nothing.
Totally.
Like it looks like it could be confusing, and it's like before you complete it, it's like if it's like yin yin or yang yang, it's like cool, I get this, let's continue with. Oh, and then but it's like no, it's like different each time, and you're like, how do I put these pieces together, even kind of in the shape of that hexagram that I enjoyed.
Right.
And I also like, if you're thinking of it with this relational sense, like we went through 59 in sexuality, and then 40 of aloneness, and then 64 is like, how do I make sense of it? It's like you're in a new relationship and you have some intimacy, and then you're alone, and you're like, what does it mean? Are we together? Is this serious? It's almost like I could feel that kind of energy with the 64.
Totally. And that's the maturing process. That's the maturation process of what gate 64 is a part of anyway, of that circuitry. That's the format for it. And it is trying to mature steadfastly. It is trying to mature the process of what does it all mean, making sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, Mother will make sure we know darn well what it all means. And it will be imbued with protectiveness, right and wrong, and all of the knowledge needed in a perfect world. In a perfect world. Everything I just said, in a perfect world.
Gate 47, which is oppression and the gate of realization. The trigrams are lake over water. Lake water drained into the stream below, where might have been the sparkling center of vitality, communication, and exchange. There's no water left, no energy for communication. Lake water drained downward and inward, merging with the stream in a single strong current. Let your mandate, what you are called to do, flow together with the aspiration of your own heart. To strengthen one another, creating inner momentum to fulfillment.
And the two are these two gates. In part, that's part of what the two is. That come together to create this light force here. That's no small thing. So 47, it's oppressive until you have the realization and go, aha, and then it's not oppressive anymore. And see, it's the act of the oppressiveness that causes us to stay in it with the pressure above that was just happened the last hexagram to finally make sense of it. Basically, if this part of the wheel didn't have 64 pressuring 47, 47 might just chill out and be like, yeah, I get it. They want this. Well, maybe I'll get to it one day. I'm not under pressure, right? Honey, take the trash out. Honey, take the trash out. And the truck's not here yet. Honey, take the trash out. Okay, I'm under pressure. I guess I'm taking the trash out, right?
Uh-huh.
Yes, and now that's okay. Do those two people, are they mad at each other after he took the trash out? No, there's a keen understanding and a realization that moves away from the oppressiveness of the confusion. This is a constant. This place in here is where very neatly and in a minutia kind of way we'll be stepping back and forth between harmony and a little bit of conflict, and then some harmony, and then some peace with all, what I'm saying, between the two things. So that'll happen a great deal in here. The realization will definitely move towards what the yang expression, externalization of this particular character is giving us. She's giving us externalization of the way of making sense of and finding opportunity and how this is all going to work together. and then opening the floodgates and allowing it to be. I know it's a yang line for her, but it's still a very open, receptive, allowing process. This gal has no idea for sure what's going to happen through the oppression and the confusion. We wait to see what that is. That's the whole idea of a realization. We don't have the realization first and then go through the oppressive process. We go through the oppressive, confusing process to get to the realization. The realization that bonding is worth it and it's needed and it is right, not wrong. And at the end of the day, 6 will then sanction that and spread open and become open and enveloping for all of that, ultimately, with a razor sharp purpose. By the way, Kate 6 is no fool. It's just going to become open to the intimacy, to the bonding, and boom, we make more.
Yeah. And I wanted to kind of dive into like the trigram and the images because it's lake over water and just, I don't know, if you just see that and you don't know the background of the trigrams, you're like, what the hell is the difference between lake and water? Because there's obviously like an overlap there. But the difference is, so with lake, it's like abundance and it's like joyousness and like lotus flowers in a koi pond, as opposed to like the deep abyss of water. And even this description of like lake water drained into the stream below, where there might have been a sparkling center of vitality, communication, and exchange, there's no water left. So it's almost like this abundance and this joy, like the oppression would be like this abundance and joy is just draining out of your pretty koi pond. And it's just like draining into this like watery abyss. There's like almost confusion. There's no energy for communication. The lake water drained downward and inward, merging into the stream in a single strong current. And so I could see that like oppression of like, oh no, my koi pond. And then what's interesting is I like to think of 64 and 47 as like 64 is like the film clips that are just like running through, and then 47 is the editor that's going to put those film clips together in a proper order to make like a storyboard. And so it's like that initial oppression of like the abundance of the koi pond of the lake being drained out, and then actually learning how to merge it together into a single stream to create that storyboard and to actually merge the lake into the stream without it coming from a place of like loss or fear or like you're losing the lake. It's like, no, we're just merging it into a new story.
Yeah, this is the place of mental clarity or not. And that's what ends up being here. So we still needed our mental process. You know how we're always saying in our, when we're reading for people and just talking generally, it's like, the not self mind, mind doesn't make the decisions. No, but our brain system and the mind and the actual genetic process that we go through of being confused and then coming to realizations through the act of feeling a little bit oppressed by the pressure of the confusion is something that builds great wealth within us, great emotional stamina within us. Clarity is a powerful place. We see that in the emotional wave. Clarity in the emotional wave creates a condition in humanity called steadfastness. We become steadfast. It's not an ego thing that just powers through and can and will do. It's a steadfastness that simply is. That's what this is giving us. It's giving us ultimately the realization that we'll move into the next gate. I like the idea of going to work and then coming to the realization of what it all is for, ultimately.
So now we have conflicts. We're actually coming to the end of our little deep dive and the end of Harmonia's influence. So gate 6 is conflict and the gate of friction. The trigrams are heaven over water. Water flows downhill away from heaven. Inner momentum diverges from immutable laws, pulled away by the flow of emotion, in dispute with how it is. Dissenting impulse inspires to start work and take action. Arguing makes for much better beginnings than endings. To direct inner momentum intelligently without worsening conflict. Think of heaven joining with the stream, plans how to bring emotional currents into accord with absolute principles.
And I love that this is talking about the emotional process overall, because there isn't anything to link the 63 all the way down to the 62 to really link it to the rest of that circuitry. The same, I mean, there is, it's the logical circuitry, it's understanding. They want to, identification would be the link. I'm mostly, okay, I'm wicked identified with this, let's share it. But over on the other side, there is something to truly link it together. I mean, big time. 64 down to 56 are linked intrinsically to what 35 all the way down to 41 is going to do, and 35 down to 41 is intrinsically what gets matured in the maturation channel and experienced and spoken out through the tantric motion up from the sacral, 29 up to 31. 33, where ultimately the story is told and the knowledge is kept. It fully kept, by the way, and it's all now detailed and accounted for. Coming to clarity about all of that, just in this process, in this heaven over water. I mean, I really do like the imagery, shall I say, because the heaven is all yang. It's just all yang. I realize it's the top three, lines of the hexagram, but Gate 6's conflict isn't just meanness. It's not conflict for conflict's sake. Its ultimate purpose is expressed in its sixth line, the peacemaker, who, when forces get too hot, might have to exert a little control, but ultimately returns right back to normal components and normal parameters, and allowing all parties to survive as themselves. That's conflict resolution. And that's what this gate on the human plane is attempting to do: resolve the conflict, address the conflict, find out if it's irreconcilable conflict. That's always possible. Either way, it's there measuring this, and it doesn't do it simply by airy fairy fortune cookies. It creates friction. There's like friction. There's tug and pull. Hey, well, let me ask you a question about that. Blah blah blah. It's like, oh, dude, you still need talking about that? Yeah, I'm a gate 6. It's like, you feeling the friction here? That's what Gate 6's function is. It creates these frictions on purpose to measure, to do its own measuring. The measuring didn't end with the first 4 gates and Thoth. That's not where the measuring ended. I don't know if the measuring ever ends, but these two going together create the full embodiment of the measurement. And finally, the measurement speaks, and Gate 6 allows what the way of Gate 59 is in. And now we have real bonding. And by the way, when you have sex with someone and you actually start to bond with them, you got to face them. There's no getting away from each other. And there's no even trying to. The goal is to ultimately see that you wouldn't want it any other way over time. You get used to that safety, the affection, all of the things we've been talking about. The work is getting done. The tribe is essentially happy. It's protected. And the knowledge is there, and the direction is moving. It's all here. This is like a perfect, tumultuous little setup for the rest of bonding that does, in fact, finish, creating the life on this planet and creating the bonds that we make with people. I find it very interesting when we get into the next couple Godheads. It's all in the spleen. Bonding as an instinctual process. Gotta love it. So here we got bonding as a logical process, bonding as an emotional process, bonding as the process of tribal work, bonding as a logical process that wants to march forward. That doesn't sound very bondy, but of course it is.
It is. I mean, you have to plan your life with
You have
somebody.
to plan and bond with the guys that you're marching forward with to protect. Protecting things makes great bonds. All these things make the bonds. And then finally the bonds get put into place, and somehow the instinctualness, intuitiveness, judgment of the spleen give us the rest of the quarter. I just find that very interesting. I don't know what I want to say it means yet, but I know I'll know when you take me through those gates.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we dive into that, just let's don't skip the step of finishing up Gate 6, because I have some thoughts as well. Because Gate 6 is also, where do I end and where do you begin? Where do you begin and I end? Right? It's boundaries and borders. It's fences make good neighbors.
Yes.
Like there has to be a friction. A fence is some tension and friction. But man, that's really nice to have when you're delineating, this is my space, this is your space. And if you push into my space, we're going to have a problem. There's a need for that in that tribal dynamic of the 59 and 6, because 59 is like, hey, I'm just going to be like coming on in here and like, disperse and intimacy. And 6 is like, whoa, hold your horses there a little bit. Like that's gonna happen in intertribal dynamics and romantic relationship. And who's that guy coming by my daughter? There needs to be that, because intimacy is such a serious life and death act. Like we've become so removed from that with technology of like birth control and whatever. Like we are totally disconnected to like what life was really like for women 60, 75, 100 years ago. Like, we're so disconnected from like that level of reality where it's like, it is very serious and it is life-changing, and it could destroy a family. If a young girl is left pregnant and some guy leaves, who's going to take care of that child? Who's going to support them? Now that's a burden on the family. Like, that's where all these kinds of things come up from as a means of protection, especially for like young girls and families and whatnot. And so that friction and conflict of gate 6 is necessary. Of where do I end and you begin, and how are we interacting, and what are those dynamics? And yeah, having like a good boundary is very important, because if you don't have a boundary, you can get invaded, you can get sick, like that's how you get diseases and illnesses and stuff. So it is important to kind of wrap that around.
Well, I like this statement. Arguing makes for better beginnings than endings.
I know, isn't that one so good? That
It's
one got
really
me.
so good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is really good. Well, it's because it's amazingly true, obviously. And if you think of just what the classical meaning of the word argue is, to argue is to set forth your opinion. That's all it was. I argue this, da, da, da. And the other guy or gal says, well, maybe that, but maybe this too. It's called talking. you know, that's what argument really is. It's talking with your own opinion at hand. And to the degree it differs from someone else's opinion, we call that argument as somehow something bad and conflictual. Well, there is friction there, just like you said with the fence. And there is seeming of conflict, but the truth is, it's not real. It's not an enduring conflict. In fact, it doesn't matter. We're just talking about the different things that we're both sort of seeing, even though they're the same sets of facts. Talk about knowing that we have to get along in particular ways as it relates to bonding. We have to get along even through I know we're both looking at the same thing, but you see it differently than I. Okay.
I feel like that goes perfectly with like harmony and tension
Harmony and tension.
of this like
Yeah.
quarter of duality in relationships, harmony and tension.
So is there anything you can do to throw up all of the gates? I want to make sure those are the only two definitions. Those are the only two definitions. I'm 99% sure. I'm just going through my mind. There are two solid definitions in here and no more. There's 59.6 and 64.47.
59.6 and then the 64.47 right up in here.
Yep. That's a lot of definition to just show up in 8 gates. That's definitely a decent amount. So the 59 becomes the way of the bonding. It starts at 6, becomes the way of the meaning making. And the bonding is easy to let 2 ships pass in the night if that's all it's going to be. But oh no, the meaning making stops all of that and creates actual meaning that ultimately goes through a clarity process. These two bring the knowledge, protect the knowledge, show us how to get clear, and then show us how to bond and to deal with the friction that comes up along the way that really isn't that big of a deal. 99.999 times out of 100, 2 people fight about something, and a little while later, it didn't matter. It just wasn't supposed to matter. It's not a game changer. It's just, that was our way. And if it were up to me, I'd like to hurry up through all of that too. It's like, come on, yeah, whatever, you're right, you're fine, or you're half right, half wrong. Just go with it. Just let's forget about it.
You want to
That's
skip
part of
that step.
Yes, that's part of the process. And mother sometimes will let it, and sometimes she will not. Right? No, we can't skip that.
No, we got to go through that. We got
We're
to
going through it. All right, uncle, blah, blah, blah. So they needed to go together. They just need to go together in that way. So a lot of clarity comes out of this half of this quarter. Mm-hmm. And it does set everything up for bonding. And in fact, the bonding is already taking place here. My guess is a lot of the meaning making, the rest of the way of the bonding will come through the intelligence, the survival awareness of the spleen when we move into the next 2.
That'll be fun that all the splenic gates are going to pop up in the second half of the quarter of duality.
Yeah.
It's almost like we did all this bonding, make sure you're safe. You just interacted with different people in relationship. Let's make sure the spleen is running and cleaning the system so you don't get sick. Or like, is this the right person to actually bond with and like connect your life to? Are they safe for you? Or is it, healthy.
All kinds of things with the right values, with all of it. I don't want to even think about it too much, or I'll start trying to explain it. And I don't want, I want it to be a surprise, Moni. When it's a true surprise, like each time we've done these Godheads, each one has been a surprise. I think I know what I'm about, sort of, but then you bring me and I'm like, oh yeah, all these things. Okay, so now I'm off kilter. I'm not in my normal zone of full knowledge of the whole thing, because you've been doing that with the Godheads. I get caught off guard and I love it. Right? I mean, it keeps working out, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad it does, because it just, yeah, Godheads are this weird thing that you kind of hear about and you really don't, unless you're like a super human design nerd, like diving into it. Like 99% of people who have glanced into human design have no sense of it, which is part of why I wanted to go into it, because Ra created it as part of this system. Like he included it for some reason, or the voice told him and he incorporated it, whatever that might be. So it's like, it's not there for nothing, which is kind of the purpose of this series, where I'm like, I don't know the practical uses of this just yet, but it's kind of in doing the series and talking it through with you that we kind of find our footing in the process of doing it.
It's so totally true. When we not only find our footing, but I also notice that your strategicness, your left arrow and my right arrow, they do a lot together.
Us
All
just
good stuff.
diving in to explore this stuff together, because I don't know, I find human design so fascinating to learn about. And I've definitely been feeling, and maybe it's just me, but like this pre 2027, like we got a little bit over a year, let's say 18 months or so before like the 2027 Sleeping Phoenix changeover. And I just feel this sense of, hey, learn this stuff now. Like the clock is ticking. You have this specific window that we can go super deep and understand this like inside and outside. And I kind of have this sense, and what part of the purpose of this show is for me is like, hey, we got like 18 months before this 2027 changeover happens. Learn as much as you can, document it, record it. And I don't know, maybe I'm crazy and I'm just making that up, but that is kind of the sense that I get, is just like, hey, let's dive into this now while we can, because things are going to shift.
By February 27th or 28th of the year after next, of 2027, the first rave child will be born. I think we need to know something about that. I think we need to really get into shape and understand. So it's definitely time to put our HD communities together. Someone wants to buy a plot of land and invite us all to go there. I'm a farmer. I love it. I generate lots of farming stuff. I even hurt myself, and thank God for it. So it's um, let's do it. I really would love, Moni, to be in the same place one day.
You and I to actually meet and not just exist as internet friends.
For all of us, many of us, like many HD people, to just, and including the ones that won't necessarily get along. That's
Oh
okay.
yeah, I'm sure there's lots of people that aren't getting that. Yeah, I know there's like some conferences and get-togethers and stuff. So like there are HD people that are getting together. HDs unite. Greg and Leah just commented
Yes,
like that.
yes, yes, unite. But I want to unite around the same patch of dirt, a square mile or two of acreage,
Mm-hmm.
that we start building things and we start cooperating on, and we just start one, two, three, start. I know how to. I don't know fully how to run a sawmill, but I know with another couple dudes, we'll get it just right, and they're not that expensive. Call it in, Danny G at DannyGuru.com. Send me an email, anybody about that kind of stuff. Let's just
Yeah,
start talking. I love it.
to see if something comes together and have a little HD meetup. Oh,
Yep. Email me, anyone. Email me for anything you can possibly think of. Just reference a show and that it's an HD question, or I'll think you're a solicitor or something. But make it obvious, and then that'll be great. I'll get back to you. Well, thanks
absolutely.
everyone. Like and subscribe, and drive yourself in for readings and analysis, and your friends and your parents and your family, and let's look at your kids. Let's get this knowledge out there. 18 months till the first rave child is born. That's going to be a great big deal. I think this knowledge needs to be out there so we can quell what will become hysteria if we don't look out.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, like I see people are either figuring their stuff out or really struggling through it. And it's kind of one or the other. And I find that kind of bifurcating more and more. And like things are going to need to be energetically correct if they're going to survive and thrive and continue on. And things that are not energetically correct are just kind of crumble, is what I'm kind of
Mm.
witnessing. This has been really fun. Thank you guys for hanging out and hanging out through the kind of funniness of the Godheads, because it's like, what the hell is this and why are we doing it? So thanks for hanging through there. And then it made more sense, I think, with the gates, and it kind of rounded it all out. So thank you for all of that.
All right, everyone. Love you so much. Catch you on the next round.
Thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Indeed.